Hello guys, welcome to a new video on ToG New World. In this video we're finally going to see how elemental advantage actually works and now the blue and red tiers are going to affect these like damage increase or damage taken decrease. To do that we're going to use a table I've created here that will show the damage increase compared to the previous tier, and we're going to use the arena simulation to get the data to feed this table. We had to draw some lines here so that we don't have units that will gain additional like defenses or attack from their skill levels, and we also had to pick units that had a similar defense so that the values would still be like precise enough. So in this case the like offensive unit I decided to go for is Hansung Yu. It doesn't have any attack scaling with his skills, so it's perfectly fine, and we're going to look only at the basic attack damage. As the targets, I picked Kunagero to test the base damage, Lozel to test the elemental advantage damage, and Leroro to test the elemental disadvantage damage. So I picked Kunagero and Lozel because they have the same defense. They have 530, as we can see here, 530 and 530 as well. Then we have here Leroro with 524, still close enough so the numbers will be precise enough. Now we're going to test, like we are going to run all the tests that I've written here in the table, and we're going to draw some conclusions as we go on. First, let's look at what elemental leverage should do. And it basically states that when you are attacking, if you are at elemental disadvantage, you are going to deal half damage. If you are at elemental advantage, you are going to deal 2 times the damage. So that's pretty simple, I would say, as a logic, and that's perfectly fine, and we're going to see it in action in a second. We are going to talk about the yellow and purple interaction a little bit later once we get to that part. Now we'll focus just on the standard elements, so blue, red, and green. Let's get started and remove these 2 units. Let's just see at the base damage that Hansung Yu will deal. And let's note it down. Here we see that he deals 1375. Perfect. So let's note 1375. We're only going to look at one element because the way it works is basically one element counters another, then that element counters the other one that was countering the initial element. So it's a circle and it's unilateral. So we don't care. Like once we understand the logic, that will apply to every scenario. So we don't need to test multiple ones. We just need to see how it works with red as the damage dealing in this case, and that's about all we need. So now we have our base damage, that's fine. Let's remove Kun and see the elemental disadvantage one, which should be half the amount, so around 680. Also considering we have different defense value, it will change a bit, but it will still stay within tolerance. So let's check. Here it's going to be 689. Perfect. So let's write down 689, and it's a 50% decrease, what we were expecting. Nothing strange here. Now let's remove Leroro and go for Lozel. So in this case, we're expecting 2750 damage, which is double the amount of 1375. Let's see. 2750. Perfect. So it works exactly how we expect it to work. Now let's see what will change with the 3 blue. So for those of you who don't remember the 3 blue effect, it's written like you will take like damage taken reduced by plus 50%. So it's still strange how it's worded. Okay, it's not applied to the ally, is applied to the enemy. So let's go here, apply. And we're going to go back in a second. I'm going to show you guys the description so that you understand why I felt the need to do this video, because I also wanted to better understand what exactly is going on. So let's take a random character, go to limit break, pocket certificate, and here it's written decrease damage taken from purple element plus 50%. So it's not clear. To me, that would mean that I'm going to take half of these 2750 damage, because that was the damage I was dealing before, and here I'm decreasing the damage taken plus 50%, so I would say by 50%, and that would get me back to base value. And the same is more or less true, maybe it's a little bit like less messy in the red one. Is going to say increase damage dealt to purple element plus 50%. I would say that's also pretty misleading actually. And I would say I would then deal like 2750 plus 50%. That's what I would think when I see those descriptions. But now let's see what exactly happens. So sorry, I misclicked again. Let's go here in the arena simulation. Fortunately, it will keep everything so we can test it without changing anything again. Let's go in and see like by how much it will decrease, if it will go down to 1375 or if we will get a different value altogether. And it's going to be 2062. So again, is in the middle between 2750 and 1375. Some of you might already have guessed how this works, but we're going to like have a deeper look now, and everything will be clear also when I will show you two hidden columns I've put there. And let's test it with the 3 green. So 3 red against 3 green. Let's see how the damage will change. So again, I would be expecting 2750 plus 50% damage. So around like 4k. But here we have, okay. This guy landed the first crit and then he gets buff after crit. So that was not valid. Let's try again. I would expect 4k damage if that was a 50% increase over the previous damage. So let's see. 34, 38. 34, 38. And here we see that's again a value in the middle between the two I was expecting, and it's a 25% increase in damage. Okay, cool. Now let's see what happens when the opponent has the blue tier effect and we have the red tier effect. So what's going to happen is, at this point, I would say something in the middle between these two numbers, which is going to be 2750. And we've already seen this value here. That's the base elemental advantage damage we have. So if both the red and the blue tier effects apply, we're back to square one basically. We will deal just the basic elemental advantage damage. If we show the column I hid here, this is the increase over the base damage. So minus 50% and plus 100% will stay the same. They were already like looking at the base damage. And here we can see we have a 50% increase over the base damage. Here we have a 150% increase over the base damage. So what happened here is we started from a base of 100%, then we removed 50% if we were attacking someone with a blue bonus applied, and we added 50% if we were attacking someone without the blue effect applied, and we had the red effect. So that makes total sense, and it's way like more logical than the way that it's worded in the pocket certificate tab. So yeah, and when you have both of them applied at the same time, they will just cancel themselves out, plus 50 minus 50. So it will stay the same at the standard elemental advantage. So that's basically how it works. And now we're going to have a look at the interaction between yellow and purple, because that also has something interesting in there. So let's show also the other column because for the purple and yellow we're going to test it one against one, and we'll record both damages. So to do that, let's go back to 3 green in both sides. And yeah, okay, here 3 green, 3 green. Let's use BAM as our damage dealer here. Okay, no, I didn't want to put him for the enemies, but it's fine. So for the enemies, Nare, and I will also put Data Machine here. And for the allies, we have BAM and Leroro. The reason why I picked these guys is because, as we saw before, Leroro has 524, and also BAM has 524. Then we have Nare with 513 and Datamashini with 513 as well. So we're going to test first the base damage. So we're going to try BAM against Datamashini and see how much damage he deals, and take note of that. $22.94, perfect. Okay, now we will try Nare against, here, against Leroro, as we said, and we're going to record her damage as well. The reason why we're using 3 green obviously is because that tier gives you a 40% attack, and we don't want that to screw up our values. I didn't mention it before, but I think it was pretty clear. So 1650, that's the damage she deals with a hit. Perfect. Now we have our base values. Let's check what happens when we have the same number of unit in both teams, and they are all at 3 green. So here, Nare here. Okay, so let's have a look again at the elemental leverage description. So it's going to say that yellow characters have an advantage against purple characters if the yellow characters on one team outnumber the purple characters on the other, and vice versa. So if I have more yellow characters than the enemy has purple, I'm going to have advantage. Otherwise, the other guy is going to have advantage. If we have the same number, we are going to have both advantage and disadvantage, as we see here from the arrows. So that's not clear how these would apply. Because to me, that would mean, okay, let's do double damage and half damage at the same time, so base damage. That's what I would think, and let's see what actually happens. Let's enter battle and double check. $3,300, 45.89. So 45.89 for BAM and 3,300 for Nare. So again, we just did double damage directly. No change, nothing. Double damage. So that basically means that if both have elemental advantage over the other, that's all that will apply. So the damage taken portion of it, like the part that you would deal half damage, is not taken into account at all. So that's kind of interesting. Then let's look at how the elemental advantage would work. So let's move Nare here in the leftmost spot so that she attacks BAM, and let's add Evan to the team here. And let's see how it works. Obviously, this number is going to be the same, but let's just check it for let's just check it. So let's run it, and we will see how much damage Nare will deal. That's what we are looking at now. 1650, and bam, we saw dealt the same damage. So here, I was expecting like 825, which is half the base damage, because I would say, okay, now you are only at the disadvantage, so you are going to have the decrease in damage dealt. But that's not the case. You are just losing the elemental advantage damage, which is a strange choice to me, and I don't really get why that would happen, but okay. So again, here we can already fill in the values, but we will double check them for the sake of this video. So let's add one additional unit to the purple team, and let's see the values here. They will be base damage, again, for some reason for BAM, and the elemental advantage damage for an array. So 3300, 2294, perfect. So that's fine, and we understood how it works now. It's still not clear to me the reason why they decided to do it this way, but that's fine. Now we will see the interaction with the blue, adding the blue tier effect into the equation. And let's see, we're going to give an array 3 blue effect and see what happens. So at this point, I would say it's just going to be something in the middle between 4589 and 2294, but let's double check. 3442. 3442, which is again something in the middle, as we kind of figured out from the way that these blue and red effects work from the experiment before. So that was kind of expected. And here we are still dealing the same max damage, so it's fine. I'm also going to add it here. Sorry, not 22, but 33. And then let's try and check the elemental advantage is still going to be like this, no problems. And here is still going to be like this, but that's fine. We're still going to check it anyway. So here, elemental advantage for the yellow team, and enter battle. Let's see how much damage she does. It will be the same because we already had the elemental advantage, and she will deal base damage because she is at a disadvantage and BAM doesn't have the 3 blue. So 1650 and 3442, perfectly fine as we were expecting. Now we're going to be at a disadvantage and attack someone with the blue, like with the blue effect applied. So let's go on and try it. First, I just wanted to say what I would expect to happen, because we already know that if we are at the disadvantage, like here, we're going to do base damage value. And now we are in that situation, but they are also going to receive a 50% decrease in damage taken. So this is actually going to be half of this value, in theory. Let's see how it works. And 1147, which is 1/3 of the normal damage you will deal if you had the same numbers. Also in this disadvantages scenario, I don't know how the hell to pronounce that word, but yeah, you're still dealing okay damage, but if you're also at the disadvantage here, you're going to deal really low damage. But again, it all makes sense by the way these percentages are being applied. So sure, we kind of expected that. And the opponent is still dealing 3300 as we saw, so that's still fine. Now we will check how it will work when the situation is reversed. So BAM with the 3 blue and the opposing team with just the 3 green. Let's check again and remove Gusten here. So here we're going to do a few less tests because we already saw how the pattern is looking and we can already guess the numbers without having to test them all the times. But yeah, 2475 is the damage she is dealing, 2475, and we're going to deal this, and we already saw 4589, and the last one will be 2294. That's a given. So this one is also going to be 2475. Now all we need to test is the elemental advantage for the yellow team in this case, so the disadvantage for an array. We're going to enter battle and fill in this remaining spot. This is going to be half of 1650 as we saw before, so let's see, 825. Again, makes total sense, so cool. Now we have the situation where we are 3 blue against 3 blue. That's going to be pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be like this and like this. Pretty sure about it, but we're still going to test it nonetheless. So let's go and put the enemies to 3 blue and remove Evan and just test it. We will see 3442 and 2475, and then I guess we can be pretty sure the rest will work that way, but let's see. 2475, 3442, exactly what we were expecting to see. Then we go here, we can add Evan, we will just test one way, not the other, because if those numbers match, then we can be sure that these two will also match, so no point in wasting time to test those as well. $825, 3442, so exactly what we were expecting here. So these two will be the same, it's fine. Now we're going to test also the red effect, so now we will see the maximum damage possible, the 150% increase over base damage. That's pretty, self-explanatory also in this case. There is not much need to test it further or explain it further. We'll just draw some conclusions after we double check the values here. So let's go and check the damage with the 3 red effect applied. And let's see. 5736. 5736. This is a 25% increase over the 3 green against 3 green, and is also a 150% increase over base damage. So what we were expecting, nothing strange again. This is going to be the same number, so I'm not going to test the elemental advantage. Let's just test the elemental disadvantage, which we're expecting to be, I would say, the 50% increase over base damage. So these, but again, let's test it. Because this one is a case we still haven't tested, so yeah, let's see what happens. But it should be this one because it's going to decrease it by 100%, this additional percentage, so from 150 to 50, which is that value there. So it will make sense. Let's see. 3442, exactly what I was expecting. And the reason why here you will see the table and we are not checking the damage that an array is dealing to us in this case is because the 3 purple tier will give us additional defense, which will screw up the numbers. So we will test an array again with BAM at 3 green and 3 blue. But for now, we already kind of understood how this works. So by that, we can already say, okay, so this number will be 100% and 100% here. So a double increase. So standard, like the standard damage we do with the elemental advantage. And here we'll deal base damage because it's going to be this 50% minus 50%. And it's going to be this 0% base damage. So that's what's going to look like, but let's test it. So we're going to give the enemies the blue tier and remove Gustang, and we will see the numbers here. So we can kind of expect them already, guys. It's pretty standard as we saw, so yeah. $45.89, perfect. And then we're going to try the elemental disadvantage one, just for the sake of testing, and it's going to be base damage. 22, 94. Perfect. Okay, we will also test an array, but we can expect similar results anyway. So we're going to copy and paste these at the bottom for sure, because we already saw that those are the values we're going to get. That's fine. Now let's roll back BAM to 3 green and take the opponents to 3 red. And we can test already the elemental advantage damage of an array. So let's enter battle. Then this damage is going to be 25% higher than 3300. 4125, perfect. 4125, 4125. So exactly what we were expecting. Now we only need to look at the elemental advantage for the yellow team, so the disadvantage for an array. But as we saw here, that number is going to be the 50% one, so 2475. We can be pretty sure of that. 2475, perfect. Perfect. So we already filled in the table, and you guys should already have a lot of your doubts answered, and it should be already pretty clear how this works, but I just wanted to draw some important conclusions. And this conclusion is that yellow and purple, due to the fact they don't have the disadvantage, like the damage taken reduction from this kind of elemental leverage interaction, they are the most consistent elements we have in the game, and they are way better than the other three. That's because if we are to use like a Hansung Yu, so red against blue, for example, no matter what you have, it could be like 3 red against 3 green, you're still going to do half damage. You're still going to do 689 base attack damage. No matter how, if you are 3 red, the opponent is nothing, you're still going to do half damage. But that's not the case for yellow and purple, because yellow and purple, if you have your carrier 3 red, in the worst case scenario, you're going to do base damage, which is quite crazy. So to me, yellow and purple, for this reason alone, are really, really more worth it than the others. And that was all basically that I wanted to say. Because these 50% damage, base damage reduction over base damage is never going to apply, because you want your carries to be at least 3 red anyway, at least the SSR ones. This also shows you guys that uh, the SSR plus have a slight disadvantage if you're using them in yellow and purple as compared to the SSR ones, because you would want them to 3 red in any case, and that's why Edan a 3 green is not as good as, for example, Hiwa. You can still avoid this worst case scenario anyway, even if you have the unit at 3 green, just because with the yellow you can kind of decide whether you are on an advantage or disadvantage, and you never want to be at a disadvantage. At the very least, you want to have the same number, in which case it won't really matter that much. Yeah, so you will still deal more than base damage, so you will be fine even if you don't have the let's say the 3 red effect. But for sure, in the worst case scenario, once you have the unit at 3 red, you're going to do base damage. And that's a scenario that's really also unrealistic for the reason I just said. You can decide to be at the very least on the same number. And wherever possible, when the enemy doesn't have the, I'm gonna say, doesn't have 5 units of the purple or yellow element, you can just force your elemental advantage, which is really, really good to me. And I think that purple and yellow are overall the best elements in the game, also for what we saw here today. So guys, I hope this video was informational and you understood how this elemental advantage actually works. Feel free to run the tests as I did here if you want to double check some values or if you want to test something more. But just remember like the different restrictions or premises we talked about at the beginning. So we need to avoid having things that can increase attack, defense, physical resistance, magic resistance, or any other values that could alter the damages. As you saw here, even when we increase the skill level of BAM and Array, the numbers stayed pretty consistent. So these units are nice picks, and but you can feel free to do other tests. You can change the level. Now I used level 100, but I could have used whatever, level 1, level 500, doesn't really matter. But I found this like level to be quite okay. The numbers were pretty low and easy to understand, so that's why I chose it. But you can do whatever you want. Feel free to test it. You can copy this table in your own spreadsheet and change the values. I will leave it like this, like it is after this current video, so you can feel free and check it anytime if you have doubts or if you're wondering how a certain interaction will play out. But yeah, as you can see, it's pretty simple now that we understood the logic and how blue and red actually work. Okay guys, that was all for this video, and again, if you liked it, please drop a like and a comment if you feel like I could do something to improve these kind of videos. If you want me to test something else, please feel free to drop a comment down below. And I will see you guys in the next video that will probably be about Verdi or some of the additions we get with the patch that's released today. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.